Have you ever felt a subtle disharmony after a meal, a quiet whisper from your body that perhaps something was not quite aligned? What if a beloved fruit, a small vibrant gem of nature, could inadvertently contribute to this feeling if its context within our nourishment is not fully understood? Stay with us on this journey of awareness, for the final understanding we explore together could gently reframe your entire approach to how you nourish your inner sanctuary. Don't miss this. Dairy dissonance. Consider the blueberry, a fruit so often celebrated for its vitality, its deep color speaking of the concentrated life force within. It is a gift, simple and pure. Then we have substances like dairy, which in many traditions and for many bodies can also be nourishing, offering richness and sustenance. Yet it also carries qualities of coolness, and for some, a tendency to create what might be described as an inner dampness, a kind of slowing or stagnation if the inner environment is not prepared or is already inclined towards such states. Imagine a clear flowing stream representing our digestive vitality, our inner fire that transforms food into life. If we introduce too many elements that are inherently cooling or heavy without balance, it is like adding cold, dense silt to this stream. The flow may become sluggish, the clarity may diminish. This is not to cast blame on either the blueberry or the dairy, for in isolation, each holds its own value. The challenge, the potential for disharmony, arises in their coming together, especially if one's inner digestive strength, that vital metabolic warmth, is not robust, or if the quantities are excessive. The body then has to work much harder to process this combination, and sometimes the effort required can lead to feelings of heaviness, a sense of being waterlogged, or perhaps an increase in mucus production for those sensitive. It is not an immediate catastrophe, but rather a subtle accumulation, a layering of minor burdens that over time can tax the system. The invitation here is to cultivate a deep listening, to observe how your unique constitution responds. Does this combination leave you feeling light and energized, or does a sense of lethargy follow? The body always communicates. Our task is to learn its language, to notice these subtle signals. Perhaps you combine them in small amounts with warming spices, or after a period of activity when your inner fire is naturally brighter. The context is paramount. Ancient wisdom often speaks not in absolutes of good or bad, but in terms of balance, appropriateness, and the interplay of energies. When we approach our meals with this awareness, we move from following rigid rules to engaging in a dynamic, responsive relationship with our food and with our own internal landscape. The blueberry, so full of potential, asks us to consider its companions carefully so that its gifts can be received fully without inadvertently creating an unnecessary burden, a quiet dissonance within the very system it seeks to nourish. This understanding is a gentle unfolding, a path of discovery unique to each individual. It is about recognizing the inherent nature of things. Blueberries, for all their potent antioxidants and life-affirming qualities, still possess an energetic signature. Dairy, in its many forms, from milk to cheese to yogurt, also has its own distinct energetic profile, often characterized by its richness and its cooling effect on the body, particularly in traditional systems of medicine that observe such subtle qualities. When these two are brought together in significant amounts, especially if the body's digestive capacity, what some traditions might call the digestive fire, is already subdued or struggling, the combination can become challenging to process efficiently. This isn't a declaration of inherent harm, but an observation of potential energetic incompatibility for certain constitutions or under certain conditions. Think of it as trying to light a fire with damp wood on a cold day. Each element on its own might be manageable, but together they create a situation where the desired outcome, a bright, warm flame, is difficult to achieve. Similarly, if the digestive system is metaphorically cool or damp, adding a substantial quantity of cooling dairy along with blueberries, which themselves are not excessively warming, can lead to a feeling of sluggishness, bloating, or a general sense of incomplete digestion. The nutrients may not be optimally assimilated, and the body may expend more energy than necessary in the digestive process, leading to a net loss rather than a gain in vitality. The wisdom lies not in outright avoidance prompted by fear, but in mindful observation and moderation. How does your own body respond? For some, a small amount of yogurt with blueberries might feel perfectly fine, even delightful. For others, particularly those who often feel cold, experience digestive weakness, or tend towards mucus formation, this combination might consistently lead to discomfort. It's about cultivating that inner sensitivity, that attunement to the subtle feedback your body provides. Are you left feeling energized and light, or heavy and slow? The answer to that personal inquiry is more valuable than any generalized advice, for it empowers you to make choices that truly support your individual well-being and honor the unique needs of your internal environment. This path of self-awareness is central to a harmonious relationship with food. Sugar shadows. The blueberry itself offers a gentle, nuanced sweetness, a gift from nature that is perfectly balanced, easily recognized and utilized by the body. It speaks in soft tones, providing nourishment without aggression. Then consider the introduction of highly processed sugars, the intensely sweet substances often found in confectionaries, sweetened beverages, or added liberally to foods that might otherwise be wholesome. This kind of sugar is a loud pronouncement, a sudden, overwhelming wave of sweetness that can dominate the palate, and more importantly, create a very different kind of metabolic response within our systems. It is like comparing the subtle harmonies of a forest stream with the roar of a man-made cascade. Both are water, yet their impact and essence are vastly different. When blueberries, with their natural array of phytonutrients and fiber that help modulate sugar absorption, are consumed alongside a significant load of refined sugar, the body is faced with a confusing signal. The gentle, sustained energy release that blueberries might offer can be overshadowed, even hijacked, by the rapid spike and subsequent crash induced by the processed sugar. This creates a volatile internal environment, a roller coaster of energy that can leave one feeling depleted, irritable, and craving even more of that intense artificial sweetness. The natural intelligence of the blueberry, its inherent completeness, is somewhat obscured, its benefits potentially diminished by this less harmonious pairing. Moreover, this combination can subtly re-educate the palate, conditioning it to expect and even demand higher and higher levels of sweetness. The delicate intrinsic sweetness of the blueberry, or indeed any fruit in its natural state, might begin to seem bland or unsatisfying in comparison. This is a shadow that processed sugar casts, a way in which it can alter our perception and appreciation of natural, whole foods. It's not merely about the calories, but about the quality of the energy, the information that these different forms of sweetness convey to our cells, to our entire being. The body's wisdom is geared towards the rhythms of nature, and highly concentrated, refined sugars introduce a rhythm that can be disruptive, potentially leading to a cycle of cravings and imbalances that affect not only physical energy, but also mental clarity. The path to appreciating the true nourishment of foods like blueberries often involves a conscious stepping away from the overpowering influence of these sugar shadows. It is about allowing our taste buds, and indeed our entire metabolism, to recalibrate, to rediscover the profound satisfaction found in the authentic, unadulterated flavors of nature. When we choose to honor the blueberry by pairing it with other whole, unprocessed foods, or enjoying it in its magnificent simplicity, we allow its true character to shine and its full spectrum of benefits to be integrated gracefully into our system. This is an act of kindness to ourselves, a way of fostering a deeper connection with the subtle yet powerful intelligence inherent in the food we eat. Imagine the body's intricate system for managing energy, a finely tuned orchestra designed to respond to the natural sugars found in fruits, converting them into usable fuel in a measured and sustainable way. Blueberries, with their fiber and complex array of micronutrients, play their part in this orchestra beautifully, contributing to a harmonious metabolic melody. When we introduce large amounts of refined or processed sugars alongside them, it's like a rogue musician suddenly blaring an out-of-tune instrument, disrupting the entire composition. This sudden influx of concentrated sweetness can overwhelm the body's regulatory mechanisms, particularly the pancreas, which is tasked with producing insulin to manage blood sugar levels. The system is forced into overdrive, leading to that characteristic spike in blood sugar, followed by an often rapid plunge as the body works to clear the excess. This oscillation is not conducive to sustained energy or stable mood. Instead, it can leave one feeling momentarily euphoric or energized, but soon after, fatigued, unfocused, and often craving another hit of sugar to lift the spirits again. This cycle, if repeated frequently, can place a significant strain on our metabolic health over time, contributing to insulin resistance and a host of related imbalances that extend far beyond mere energy fluctuations. It can cloud our mental acuity, affect our emotional equilibrium, and gradually erode our overall vitality. Furthermore, the excessive sweetness from processed sugars can dull our sensitivity to the more subtle, natural sweetness of fruits like blueberries. Our palates become accustomed to an intense level of stimulation, making the inherent, delicate flavors of whole foods seem less appealing. This is a subtle but profound way in which our connection to natural nourishment can be weakened. By choosing to minimize or avoid the addition of refined sugars when consuming blueberries, we allow their natural integrity to be preserved. We honor their nutritional profile and enable our bodies to receive their benefits without the accompanying metabolic chaos that processed sugars can introduce. This mindful choice supports not just our physical health, but also cultivates a more refined appreciation for the authentic taste of nature's bounty, fostering a deeper, more harmonious relationship with the food that sustains us. Fatty obstructions. Blueberries are, by their very nature, light and easily digestible. They offer their complex array of nutrients in a form that the body can generally assimilate with grace and efficiency. Now let us consider what happens when these delicate fruits are consumed alongside foods that are exceptionally rich, heavy, or laden with dense fats, particularly those that are highly processed or of a less wholesome quality. Such foods, by their intrinsic character, demand a significant amount of digestive energy. The stomach, the liver, the gallbladder, all must work concertedly and with considerable effort to break down these complex, heavy substances. It is a substantial task for the digestive system. If the body's digestive energies are heavily preoccupied with the formidable task of processing these dense fats, the lighter, more subtle nutrients offered by the blueberries may not receive the attention they require for optimal absorption. It's as if a scholar attempting to study a delicate ancient manuscript is placed in the middle of a loud, boisterous construction site. The focus is scattered, the subtle details are missed, and the full value of the manuscript cannot be appreciated or absorbed. Similarly, the vitamins, antioxidants, and delicate phytonutrients within the blueberries might find their journey through the digestive tract somewhat impeded or overshadowed by the more demanding presence of heavy fats. This is not to suggest that all fats are detrimental, for wholesome fats in appropriate amounts are essential for health. The concern arises with imbalance, when the sheer density or nature of the fats consumed alongside lighter foods like blueberries creates a kind of digestive traffic jam. The system becomes, in a sense, overwhelmed or logistically challenged. The blueberries might pass through without their full spectrum of benefits being unlocked and integrated, simply because the body's resources are primarily diverted elsewhere, struggling to manage the more difficult task at hand. Over time, consistently combining very light foods with very heavy foods can lead to a sense of digestive discomfort, a feeling of heaviness that lingers, or a subtle nutrient insufficiency, not because the foods themselves are lacking, but because the combination hinders their ideal processing. The wisdom here lies in creating meals that are harmonious in their digestive demands. If blueberries are part of your meal, consider pairing them with other foods that are similarly easy to digest, or ensuring that any fats present are of a wholesome nature and in a quantity that does not overburden the system. This allows the body to efficiently process all components of the meal, extracting the maximum nourishment from each. It is an approach that respects the body's innate digestive intelligence, fostering an internal environment of clarity and lightness, rather than one of obstruction and heaviness. This allows the vibrant essence of the blueberry to be fully received and utilized for our well-being. Think of our digestive capacity as a finite resource at any given moment, a certain amount of digestive fire or enzymatic power available to process what we consume. Blueberries, being relatively simple in their structure, require a gentle flame, a modest amount of this energy to be broken down and their nutrients assimilated. Highly concentrated fats or exceptionally rich heavy meals, on the other hand, are like dense wet logs. They demand a much more intense and sustained fire to be fully combusted. When these two types of fuel are put on the fire simultaneously, the system can struggle. The intense effort required for the heavy fats might mean that the blueberries don't get the specific, more delicate attention they need. The result can be a feeling of indigestion, bloating, or a general sense of sluggishness as the body works overtime. The nutrients from the blueberries, including their valuable antioxidants and vitamins, might be less efficiently absorbed because the digestive environment is suboptimal, perhaps too acidic or too slow due to the presence of the heavy fats. It's not that the blueberries become harmful, but rather that their potential benefits are compromised. They may simply pass through the system without their full goodness being extracted and utilized by the body, as the digestive machinery is primarily engaged in the more arduous task of dealing with the fats. Moreover, a consistent pattern of consuming light, delicate fruits with very heavy fatty meals can, over the long term, place a strain on organs like the liver and gallbladder, which play crucial roles in fat digestion. This isn't about demonizing dietary fats, as healthy fats are vital. It's about the principle of balanced combinations and the timing of consumption. If one wishes to truly benefit from the subtle yet powerful offerings of blueberries, it is often wise to consume them in a context where the digestive system is not already overburdened by excessively rich or heavy companions. This might mean enjoying them separately as a light snack or as part of a meal that is balanced in its digestive demands, allowing each component to be processed effectively and harmoniously, contributing to overall vitality rather than digestive strain. Chemical clashes. In our journey toward well-being, we sometimes encounter situations where the body requires support from potent, targeted interventions, such as prescribed medications. These substances are often powerful, designed by skilled practitioners and scientists to bring about specific physiological changes, to correct imbalances, or to combat illness. They are, in their own right, strong agents of change, and their action within the complex ecosystem of the body must be respected and understood. It is within this context that we must consider how even the most natural and wholesome of foods, like blueberries, might interact. Nature itself is a complex pharmacy, and its constituents can have profound effects. Blueberries, rich in various bioactive compounds, antioxidants, and flavonoids, are not inert. They possess qualities that can influence bodily processes. While these are generally beneficial, there are circumstances, particularly when one is under a specific medical regimen, where these natural compounds could potentially interact with the mechanisms of prescribed drugs. For instance, certain compounds in fruits can affect the enzymes in the liver that are responsible for metabolizing medications. This could, in some instances, lead to the medication being broken down too quickly, reducing its efficacy, or too slowly, increasing the risk of side effects or toxicity. The specific nature of such interactions is highly complex and depends on the particular medication and the individual's unique physiology. Therefore, it is not a matter of blueberries being inherently problematic, but rather a call for profound awareness and open communication when one is navigating a path that involves both natural nourishment and prescribed medical treatments. If your body is receiving specific instructions in the form of medication, guided by a knowledgeable physician or healthcare provider, it becomes essential to bring all aspects of your dietary intake, including regular consumption of potent foods like blueberries, into the conversation. Your doctor or pharmacist is best equipped to advise on any potential interactions that might be relevant to your specific situation, ensuring that your diet and your treatment plan work in harmony rather than in opposition. This guidance is not intended to create fear or to discourage the enjoyment of natural foods. Instead, it is an invitation to embrace a holistic view of health, one that acknowledges the power of all substances we introduce into our bodies, whether they come from the garden or the pharmacy. It is about fostering a partnership with your healthcare providers, where all elements contributing to your well-being are considered with wisdom and care. Understanding that even natural does not mean without effect is a cornerstone of responsible self-care, especially when potent therapeutic agents are involved. The goal is always synergy and safety, allowing both the gifts of nature and the insights of medicine to support your health journey effectively. The principle here is one of profound respect for the body's intricate chemistry and the ways in which it can be influenced. Medications are designed to interact with specific pathways, to modulate certain functions, or to target particular cells or processes. They are, in essence, precise chemical messengers. Foods, too, are complex chemical compositions, and blueberries are no exception, containing a wealth of phytonutrients that have their own biological activities. When these two sets of chemical influences, one from a medication, one from a food, are introduced into the system simultaneously, there is always a potential for interplay. This interplay is not inherently negative, but it requires careful consideration. For example, some medications rely on specific enzymes for their absorption and metabolism. Certain compounds found in fruits, including sometimes blueberries or more famously grapefruit, can inhibit or induce these enzymes. If an enzyme responsible for breaking down a drug is inhibited, the drug may remain in the bloodstream at higher concentrations for longer periods, potentially leading to an increased risk of adverse effects. Conversely, if an enzyme is induced, the drug might be cleared from the body too rapidly, diminishing its therapeutic effect. Other interactions could involve effects on blood clotting, blood pressure, or the absorption of the medication itself from the digestive tract. This is not to suggest that one must live in fear of eating blueberries while on medication, but rather to underscore the importance of informed caution and dialogue. The most prudent approach is always to discuss your regular dietary habits, including significant consumption of any particular food known for its bioactive compounds, with the doctor who prescribed your medication or with your pharmacist. They have the specialized knowledge to assess whether any clinically relevant interactions are known or likely with your specific treatment. This proactive communication is an act of responsibility towards your own health, ensuring that your efforts in nourishment and your medical treatments are aligned and supportive of your overall well-being, preventing unintended chemical clashes within the delicate balance of your system. Chilling combinations. We have previously touched upon the idea of foods possessing certain energetic qualities, such as being warming or cooling in their effect on the body. Blueberries themselves are often considered to be neutral to slightly cooling in many traditional systems of food energetics. This inherent quality, in moderation, is usually well balanced within a varied diet. However, a potential for disharmony arises when blueberries are consistently combined with a significant intake of other foods that also share a strong cooling nature, especially for individuals whose constitutions are already inclined towards cold or during seasons that naturally bring more coldness to our external environment. Imagine, for instance, a large smoothie made with blueberries, perhaps spinach, also cooling, a banana, often considered cooling, especially when unripe, and almond milk, often neutral to cooling, all blended with ice. Or consider a large fruit salad composed predominantly of blueberries, watermelon, cucumber, and melon, consumed with iced tea on a chilly day. While each of these foods has its merits, their combined cooling effect, when taken in substantial quantities, can begin to dampen the body's digestive fire, that vital warmth needed for optimal metabolic function. This is particularly true if one's internal climate is already tending towards coolness. The consequences of such an accumulation of internal cold can manifest in various ways, often subtly at first. One might experience a decrease in digestive efficiency, leading to sensations of bloating, sluggishness, or incomplete digestion. Energy levels might wane as the body expends more effort to maintain its core warmth and process these cooling foods. For some, it might contribute to feelings of physical coldness, particularly in the extremities, or lead to looser stools, as the digestive system becomes too lax or damp from an excess of cooling influences. From the perspective of traditional Chinese medicine, an overabundance of cold foods can weaken the spleen qi, which is fundamental for digestion, energy production, and maintaining overall vitality. The wisdom, then, lies not in forbidding blueberries or other cooling foods, but in understanding the principle of balance and context. If you enjoy blueberries and other cooling fruits or vegetables, consider how to balance their effects. Perhaps include warming spices like ginger or cinnamon in your smoothie. Maybe consume such meals during the warmer part of the day or in warmer seasons. Or simply be mindful of the quantity and frequency, especially if you know your constitution to be sensitive to cold. It's about listening to your body's thermal signals. How do these foods make you feel? Do they leave you feeling refreshed and light or chilled and depleted? This intuitive awareness, cultivated through observation, allows you to tailor your intake to support your unique energetic needs, ensuring that even cooling foods contribute to your harmony rather than creating an imbalance. This concept of maintaining the body's energetic balance, particularly its warmth in the context of digestion, is a cornerstone of many ancient healing traditions. The digestive system is often likened to a pot that needs a steady flame beneath it to cook food properly, transforming it into nourishment and energy. If we continually add cold ingredients to this pot, or if the flame itself is weak, the cooking process will be inefficient. Nutrients may not be properly extracted, and undigested food can lead to stagnation, fermentation, and the creation of what some traditions call dampness or phlegm within the body, which can manifest as lethargy, mental fog, or a feeling of heaviness. When blueberries, with their slightly cool, energetic imprint, are part of a larger pattern of consuming many other cooling foods, think of an abundance of raw salads, iced beverages, cold dairy, or other fruits known for their cooling properties like melon or citrus consumed in large quantities, especially out of season for colder climates. The cumulative effect can be significant. This is particularly relevant for individuals who naturally have a colder constitution, who tend to feel the cold easily, have sluggish digestion, or experience low energy. For these individuals, such a dietary pattern can exacerbate their existing tendencies, making it harder for their system to generate and maintain the necessary warmth for optimal function. The invitation here is to cultivate an awareness of the overall thermal impact of your meals. It's not about meticulous calculation, but rather a more intuitive sense of balance. If you are having a meal rich in cooling elements like a blueberry-laden salad, consider adding a warming component, such as a ginger dressing, some warming herbs, or perhaps a cup of warm tea alongside it. During colder months, or if you feel your internal fire is low, you might choose to lightly cook blueberries, perhaps stewing them gently with a hint of cinnamon, which can shift their energetic impact slightly and make them easier to digest for a sensitive system. The key is mindful adaptation, using the principles of energetic balance to ensure that your food choices genuinely support your vitality and inner harmony, allowing the gifts of foods like blueberries to be received in the most beneficial way. The journey of understanding how food interacts with our unique inner landscape is a deeply personal and ongoing exploration. It is not about adhering to a rigid set of external rules born of fear, but about cultivating an intimate dialogue with our own bodies, learning to listen to the subtle yet profound messages they continuously offer. The insights we have shared today concerning blueberries and their potential for disharmony when combined with certain other substances are offered not as restrictions, but as illuminations, as gentle signposts on your path to greater well-being and self-awareness. Each observation, each choice we make about what we consume is an opportunity to deepen this connection, to refine our understanding of what truly nourishes us on all levels. This path is one of empowerment, leading to a state where our eating is guided by an inner wisdom, fostering not just physical health, but a profound sense of vitality, clarity, and peace that radiates from within. True nourishment is a harmonious dance between the gifts of nature and the wisdom of our own being. This was so beautifully explained. I always felt a little off after my morning smoothie with yogurt and tons of fruit, including blueberries, but I couldn't pinpoint why. The idea of dairy dissonance and chilling combinations really resonates. It's not about fear, but about listening and understanding. Thank you for this gentle guidance towards a more harmonious way of eating, feeling inspired to observe more closely.